Two Zarthanian officers stood aboard the bridge of their patrol vessel, the Stellar Sentinel. Their scaled skin glistened under the soft ambient lighting, a reminder of their reptilian ancestry. Commander Zix, a veteran of many space encounters, gazed out at the star-speckled void, his elongated fingers tapping rhythmically on the control panel. "You seem unusually tense," Commander remarked Lieutenant Vex, his junior officer. "Is it the unidentified craft?" Zix's vertical pupils dilated slightly as he turned to face his subordinate. "Partly yes, but there's something else, Vex. Something that's been nagging at the back of my mind ever since we received the alert." Vex leaned in, intrigued. "What is it, sir?" The commander's gaze drifted back to the viewscreen, where a blinking red dot indicated the position of the mysterious vessel they were pursuing. "Have you ever heard the myth of the humans, Vex?" The younger officer's crest flared in surprise. "Humans? You mean those legendary creatures from the old tales? I thought they were just stories to frighten hatchlings." Zix chuckled, a low, rumbling sound that reverberated through his chest. "Oh, they're more than just stories, my young friend. The humans were very real. And very dangerous." As the Stellar Sentinel continued its course towards the unknown craft, Zix began to recount the ancient tale that had been passed down through generations of Zarthanians and other galactic species. Long ago, in the time of our ancestors' ancestors, the galaxy was a different place. Most sentient races, like us, evolved from reptilian or amphibian stock. We were a diverse bunch, but we shared certain commonalities: cold blood, scales or slick skin, and a measured approach to life in the cosmos. Vex listened intently, his own crest now fully extended in rapt attention. "But there was one race that stood apart from all others," Zix continued, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "The humans. They came from a backwater planet in an unremarkable solar system, descendants not of the noble reptiles or the adaptable amphibians, but of primates." "Primates," Vex interrupted, confusion evident in his tone. "You mean like the small, furry creatures some keep as pets?" Zix nodded gravely. "Similar, yes, but far more advanced. These humans were warm-blooded, furless except for patches on their heads, and possessed of a drive and ambition that terrified the rest of the galactic community." The commander's tale painted a vivid picture of humanity's rise. He spoke of their rapid technological advancement, their insatiable curiosity, and their uncanny ability to adapt to almost any environment. The humans, it seemed, were not content with their own world. They spread to the stars like a viral infection, establishing colonies on harsh, alien worlds that other species deemed uninhabitable. "But surely they couldn't have been as formidable as the stories claim," Vex protested. "We Zarthanians are known for our strength and resilience. How could soft-skinned primates pose such a threat?" Zix's eyes narrowed. "That, my young friend, was the mistake many made. The humans' true strength lay not in their physical forms, but in their minds and their indomitable spirit." He went on to describe how the humans' arrival on the galactic stage had initially been met with curiosity and even amusement. Many established species viewed them as quaint oddities, primitive newcomers stumbling into a universe far beyond their comprehension. But that perception changed rapidly. The humans were quick learners, Zix explained. They absorbed knowledge from every alien culture they encountered, adapting and improving upon technologies in ways that often left the original inventors baffled. And they were prolific. Oh, so prolific. Their short lifespans seemed to drive them to accomplish in decades what took other species centuries. As the Stellar Sentinel entered a dense asteroid field, navigating carefully between the tumbling rocks, Zix's tale took a darker turn. He spoke of growing tensions between humanity and the rest of the galactic community. Boundary disputes, resource competitions, and cultural misunderstandings escalated into armed conflicts. "The last great galactic war," Zix intoned solemnly. "It began as a series of skirmishes between human colonies and neighboring systems, but it quickly spiraled into something far worse." Vex listened in horror as his commander described the devastating conflict that had engulfed the galaxy thousands of years ago. The humans, despite being outnumbered and outgunned by the combined forces of dozens of alien races, fought with a ferocity and cunning that defied belief. They turned asteroids into weapons, collapsing entire star systems, Zix said, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and fear. They developed plagues that could target specific alien physiologies while leaving humans unharmed, and their soldiers. By the cosmic egg, their soldiers were unlike anything we had ever faced. The commander's description of human combat tactics sent shivers down Vex's spine. He spoke of their ability to function on minimal sleep, their capacity to ignore pain and fight on even when grievously wounded, and their seemingly suicidal bravery in the face of overwhelming odds. But how did it end? Vex asked, his own hands now gripping the edge of his console tightly. If the humans were so formidable, why aren't they still a dominant force in the galaxy? Zix's expression grew somber. The war dragged on for years, devastating countless worlds. In the end, it wasn't superior firepower or numbers that turned the tide, it was desperation and treachery. He explained how a coalition of the galaxy's most powerful races had come together in secret, pooling their resources and knowledge to develop a weapon of unimaginable power. This superweapon, he said, was capable of neutralizing all advanced technology within an entire star system instantaneously. They called it the Great Regressor, Zix said, and in their desperation to end the war, they used it not just on human-controlled systems but indiscriminately across vast swathes of the galaxy. The effect was catastrophic. Entire civilizations were thrown into darkness, their ships rendered useless, their colonies cut off from support. But for the humans, who had spread themselves thin across thousands of worlds, it was nearly an extinction-level event. In the aftermath, as the galaxy struggled to rebuild, a decision was made. Zix continued. The remaining humans, those who had survived the war and the Great Regressor, were to be gathered up and exiled. Vex's crest flattened in shock. Exiled? To where? A secret planet, Zix replied, his voice barely above a whisper now. A world so isolated and primitive that the Coalition believed the humans would never be able to rise again. They were stripped of all technology, all knowledge of their history and achievements, and left to fend for themselves on a harsh, unforgiving world. The young lieutenant shook his head in disbelief. But surely they couldn't survive such conditions, not without their technology. Zix's laugh was bitter. That's what the Coalition thought. They believed they were sentencing the humans to a slow extinction. But remember what I said about their adaptability, their drive to overcome any obstacle. Vex nodded slowly, realization dawning in his eyes. The myth says that one day the humans will return, Zix said, his gaze once again fixed on the viewscreen, that they will rise from their exile, rebuild their lost knowledge, and come back to the stars. And when they do. He left the sentence unfinished, but Vex could feel the weight of unspoken dread hanging in the air. Their conversation was abruptly interrupted by a shrill alarm from the sensor array. The unidentified vessel they had been pursuing was now within visual range. By the cosmic egg, Vex breathed, his eyes wide with shock. Commander, look at the design. It matches nothing in our database. Zix leaned forward, his experienced eyes scanning the strange craft. Its hull was sleek and angular, unlike the organic curves favored by most known species. Pulsing lines of energy crisscrossed its surface, hinting at a power source beyond their comprehension. Sir, the communications officer called out, his voice trembling. We're receiving a transmission from the unknown vessel, audio and visual. Zix straightened his posture, trying to project calm authority despite the fear gnawing at his insides. On screen, he ordered. The viewscreen flickered to life, and a collective gasp rippled through the bridge crew. Staring back at them was a face out of legend, a face that matched perfectly with the ancient descriptions of humanity. The being on the screen had no scales, no crest, no elongated snout. Instead, it possessed smooth skin, a flat face with forward-facing eyes, and a crop of dark fur atop its head. When it spoke, its voice was unlike anything they had ever heard. Greetings, sentients of the Milky Way, the human said, its lips curving into what Zix recognized from old texts as a smile. We come in peace. For a moment, silence reigned on the bridge of the Stellar Sentinel. Then, to everyone's surprise, Commander Zix began to laugh. It was a laugh of relief, of wonder, and of the realization that sometimes myths have a way of becoming reality. Welcome back to the stars, Zix said, once he had composed himself. We have much to discuss. As the initial shock wore off, fear gave way to curiosity. The human vessel's crew was invited aboard the Stellar Sentinel for face-to-face talks, a historic moment that would soon ripple across the galaxy. In the days and weeks that followed, as news of humanity's return spread, Zix found himself reflecting on the old myths. Yes, the humans had once been seen as the deadliest race in the galaxy. Yes, they had fought with a ferocity that had terrified their opponents. But as he got to know these returned exiles, he discovered something the old stories had failed to capture. The humans were not just warriors. They were explorers, scientists, artists, and dreamers. Their adaptability, which had once made them fearsome enemies, now made them invaluable allies in solving the galaxy's greatest challenges. Their short lifespans, rather than being a weakness, drove them to innovate and create with an urgency that inspired other races. And most importantly, they had learned from their exile. The humans who returned to the stars came not with dreams of conquest, but with a deep appreciation for cooperation and diversity. They had spent millennia on their isolated world, rebuilding their civilization from scratch, and in the process, they had developed a profound respect for the delicate balance of life and the importance of peaceful coexistence. As Zix watched human and alien crews working side by side, sharing knowledge and forming friendships, he realized that the true myth of humanity was not one of destruction, but of redemption. The galaxy had feared the return of a vengeful, conquering race. Instead, they found partners, teachers, and friends. The commander smiled to himself, thinking of the young Vex, and how his fear had turned to admiration for their new human allies. Perhaps it was time to start spreading a new myth, one of hope, unity, and the incredible potential that arises when different species work together to explore the cosmos. As the stellar Sentinel prepared for its next mission, now with a mixed crew of Zarthanians, humans, and other alien races, Zix couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement for the future. The humans had returned, yes, but not to destroy the galaxy. They had come back to help it thrive.